My hands were trembling, but I took a deep breath and regained my composure. No, Yu Jung-hyuk couldn't be dead. Above all, the message that caught my attention was evidence. You are currently waiting for the next main scenario. Based on common sense, Yu Jung-hyuk shouldn't be given the exile penalty. It was because Yu Jung-hyuk would have entered a new scenario, like me. There might be variations for individual scenarios, but he became a duke as soon as I became a duke. It meant that, like me, Yu Jung-hyuk was a Demon King candidate. There is currently a delay in the compensation due to an error in the Starstream system. However, there was this one message. It was very rare to acquire a story or achievement through impersonation in the Starstream. This time, Yu Jung-hyuk and I impersonated each other and made achievements in each other's name. What if the main scenario of the Starstream was twisted because of this? I entered the scenario safely, but what if Yu Jung-hyuk didn't enter? Was that why the exile penalty began? Are you okay? Do you have a glass of water? Eileen stared at me with disbelieving eyes for a moment. Don't pull out the catheter again while I'm gone. Eileen left the room and I calmly re-examined the situation. I had to be composed. It wasn't clear whether or not Yu Jung-hyuk had died. It was likely that he had been killed by the start of the exile penalty just prior to the release of Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, but absolute certainty was a taboo in the Starstream. I needed to first confirm Yu Jung-hyuk's life or death properly. BU. BU had explained the channel to the Gillabat side. If BU helped, I might be able to see the area using the eyes of a constellation. BU, do you hear me? Did something happen? There was no response from BU. I couldn't even hear the messages from other constellations. I felt uneasy for a moment. What happened to BU while I was away? Huh? I listened quietly and could hear BU breathing next to me. BU's transparent body was lying on my chest, fast asleep. I sighed with relief. I would have been devastated if something happened to BU. I'm sorry. I stroked BU's head. According to Ways of Survival, a Dokkaebi must sleep for at least half a day when it's just born. I was sleeping, so it wasn't strange for BU to have fallen asleep. It was a situation where BU had exhausted her strength due to overworking. I decided to use the second method. The exclusive skill Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint has activated. Then my temples started throbbing. The skill is cancelled due to accumulated damage. Damn, this didn't work either. It seemed that I suffered a huge blow when my link with Yu Jung-hyuk was severed. In the end, I picked up the smartphone again. It was the first time I felt so helpless. I didn't know if Yu Jung-hyuk was dead or not, and the only thing I could do was read the novel. No, don't think like this. Kim Dokcha, please wake up. You've survived so far thanks to this novel. I bit my lips and opened Ways of Survival again. Everything came from this story. Thus, the answer would be in the story. The attribute effect has increased speed reading. I read the book with wide eyes, not missing a single word or sentence. At that time, we shouldn't have pretended to support the Demon King Asmodeus. It was hard to see it as Yu Jung-hyuk and I pretending to support Asmodeus this time. I might have deceived him, but in the end, there was a nuance that he would still cooperate with us. I couldn't be sure that Yu Jung-hyuk was dead with this sentence alone. The 13th round. The 14th round. Yu Jung-hyuk's regressions continued. It took longer than before, but his spirit was gradually worn down by his continuous regressions. It's hard. The 18th round. I want to quit now. The 21st round. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! I read about Yu Jung-hyuk's despair and also felt my heart burning. As time went by, Yu Jung-hyuk returned to his original pessimistic form. A regressor who survived every regression using the principles of only thinking about himself. I can't change anything. He went back, and went back again. In the second half of the novel, there was no big difference with the ways of survival that I had read before. Apart from the first half that I had influenced, Yu Jung-hyuk made similar mistakes and regained similar tendencies. Damn, a few more times. I spent several months with Yu Jung-hyuk, but I was only able to have this much influence on the novel. I wanted to reach out to the frustrated Yu Jung-hyuk, but Yu Jung-hyuk was in a place I couldn't reach. The 25th, 26th, 27th rounds, Yu Jung-hyuk constantly repeated the regressions and I had to stop reading. It was painful to read. The original Ways of Survival was a story like this. How did I read all 3,149 chapters? Due to my irregular breathing, BU attached to my chest was moving uncomfortably. I remember the page number before scrolling down to the bottom. It might be burdensome to follow this story right now, but there was something I had to check first. Did Yu Jung-hyuk reach the proper ending in the first revision? Did the author write the epilogue? The screen hitched badly while I was scrolling due to the poor performance of the smartphone. How long did I scroll down? I finally reached the spot where the original ending should be. However, I only found a huge void. Currently being edited. There was a one-line message. I was swept away by two different emotions. The emoticon that followed the word edited angered me, but some of the possibilities that came from the message made me excited. The story could still be changed. There was a way, even if Yu Jung-hyuk was dead. Somehow I had to bring him back to this regression. I scrolled through with a determined feeling. Then the sentences that were written in the section before the ending caught my attention. Before the end of the scenario, Yu Jung-hyuk recalled countless memories of his death. In the third round, I almost died the first time I met Asmodeus. I had too many thoughts. Huh? Wait, this was currently the third round. There was a knock on the door and I raised my head to see Mark. He saw that I was awake and waved. Revolutionary. You woke up? It's fortunate. What's going on? Nothing. I just wanted to let you know that someone came to see you. I was busy and wanted to tell him to come back later when Mark continued speaking. The owner of the industrial complex is looking for you. Huh? The owner of the industrial complex has come to visit you. What did he mean? Wasn't I the owner of this industrial complex? Get out of the way. The next moment, someone pushed past Mark and entered the room. It was a presence that changed the atmosphere just by standing there. I stared blankly at the man with my mouth gaping open. Yu Jung-hyuk, who I thought was dead, was standing in front of me. It took me a bit more time to come to my senses. Eileen, who came back, glanced at us and disappeared after arranging the table, while the blankly standing Mark was also avoiding this place. Once the surroundings became quiet, I opened my mouth first. When did you come here? 2 days ago. I was ashamed for myself for freaking out in the last 10 minutes. The man I had been worried about was walking around the same industrial complex while I had all sorts of delusions about his death. How did you survive? It was a situation where you couldn't survive. I received a bit of help. From who? Was it your sponsor? That guy has never helped me once. I asked for his help, but I didn't think he would actually help. From the beginning to the end of Ways of Survival, all he did was make Yu Jung-hyuk regress. Yu Jung-hyuk's wounds had healed, and he looked quite healthy. A constellation helped me. A constellation? Who? You don't need to know the details. What did you give in exchange? None of them would help for anything. I just received a slight penalty. Penalty? Until the Demon World scenario is over, I will disappear for 10 minutes a day. Disappear? What does this mean? Something like that. In any case, I have now entered the main scenario, and the scenario error has been resolved. There's no need to worry about it. Yu Jung-hyuk's expression while speaking seemed like he had solved something. It was somewhat troubling. I had fallen asleep for a week, and Yu Jung-hyuk survived with the help of someone unrelated to me. Then he came here to finish becoming the ruler of the industrial complex. Perhaps it was because it was rare to talk to Yu Jung-hyuk like this. An awkward silence filled the treatment room. Yu Jung-hyuk stared blankly down at the table while drinking tea. I wanted to ask why he came here. I wanted to ask what he would do in the future. However, completely different words emerged from my mouth. The others, are they doing well? In fact, Yu Jung-hyuk couldn't know. He was a person who only filled his head with the scenarios. Such a person wouldn't care about what other people were doing. I deliberately wanted to nag at him. Please don't live your life alone. If he lived like that, he could never reach the end of the scenario. I meant to give this speech. By the way, Lee Hyung-sung went to the army. Yu Jung-hyuk started talking. Jung Hee-won and Lee Ji-hee are training new incarnations. They are strengthening their power in preparation for the future disaster scenarios. Yu Sung-ah and Han Soo-young are in contact with government officials. The two of them are together? It was the first time I saw Yu Jung-hyuk saying so many words. Maybe this was why I fell into his story. Gong Pildu is buying land in Seongnam to build a huge castle. He seems to really think he's a king. That Ajashi is really... The two children are doing well. They seem to throw a coin every time they're bored. I was fascinated as Yu Jung-hyuk continued to speak in a blunt voice. Some stories were easy to understand while others took a bit more time. Nevertheless, they were all stories of someone I knew. The people I liked were living stories in a place where I didn't exist. As I listened, I felt a somewhat sweet, sad, and nostalgic feeling. Everyone is busy living. I felt a strange loneliness at the end of the story. I see. Everyone was living well. The exclusive skill fourth wall is shaking. I realized that I was an outsider of this story. The 25th regression, Yu Jung-hyuk said, I can't change anything. Without me, people were still continuing the scenarios, just like Yu Jung-hyuk repeated the regressions. The 4th, 5th, 6th rounds, it led to an endless story where I could be easily forgotten. Meanwhile, people would move towards the ending. It was natural. It might be natural, but I felt pained at the reminder. I bit my lips and tried to say something. I'm glad. The words didn't emerge from my mouth. Then I heard Yu Jung-hyuk's voice. In addition, everyone is telling your story. I slowly raised my head at the words. Yu Jung-hyuk's face was still expressionless. They say it a lot. Your story. I smiled slightly while covering my eyes with both hands. I didn't appear so on the surface, but I wanted to say that I was smiling. In the small darkness created with both hands, Yu Jung-hyuk's voice was heard again as he drank tea. Let's go back to Earth, Kim Dokja.